in the StreamYard?
No.
Yo. I'm not used to that countdown thing. I think that's the first time we've done that. Actually, no, I think we've done it before. Just that catches me off guard.
All right. I'm good. I did it. So there's not going to be audio in the spaces, but I guess it's like a signal to join the live. How's it going, Ben?
Going well. Thank you guys for having me on. This is my first live stream ever, so I'm excited.
Awesome.
Yeah.
How you been? How's the week treating you? You're in the West Coast, right? Good weather out there?
Yeah. No, the weather is very nice. Yeah, can't complain. It's been a good week. There hasn't been any crises in crypto, which is always nice.
Yeah.
Bitcoin's up a little bit, so
looking good. Good vibes all around.
Yeah.
So this is episode 29. Right now we're in between like different seasons. And so we're just bringing on, me and Ali usually do this every week, just like talking shit, just talking about random stuff we're interested in. And we decided to bring on some people that we think are interesting and fun. So Ben, you were previously at Bankless. We spent some time messaging each other. I know you messaged Ali about the Chargers and stuff before. But I don't know too much about you other than like some of the research you've done. So what we like to do to kind of start these off is kind of stick with the branding of Exit Liquidity and discuss a bit about like your experience in the space, how you got involved. But we center it around kind of some of your biggest moments as Exit Liquidity or some of your biggest losses or lessons learned, because I feel like that's what a lot of people resonate well with. So if you kick it off.
Yeah, well, there's certainly plenty of moments where I was Exit Liquidity over the years. Yeah, a lot. So how I kind of got into the space. So it was around in 2020, like during COVID. So I was just kind of like a college kid, just I don't know, just like being like, what the hell is going on with COVID, and like why, like we're just locked in our house, like there's all this like craziness going on. I was into like stocks, kind of for a few years before, like in high school, early college, and I was so I like had some kind of familiarity with like the markets and stuff, and I was like, why is like the stock market going up when like the economy is like tanking? I was like really confused by that, and I saw that there was like I was like reading about all like the money printing and like QE and stuff, and then that kind of got me down like the Bitcoin rabbit hole, and I like that whole summer of 2020 I was just obsessed with crypto. I still kind of am, but like it was like bad. And then and then it just kind of went from there. I eventually kind of started the kind of crypto club at my school. Shout out Chapman Crypto. And that's how I met David from Bankless, who happened to be a Chapman alumni, which I didn't know at the time. And we kind of connected from there, and he was like, hey, do you want to do some writing for Bankless? Because it was big at the time, but it wasn't like what it kind of is today. So I kind of got lucky.
Were you writing previously? Were you putting out research before? Is that something like you've always been interested in doing, or kind of like a side hobby, side quest?
I wasn't putting out any like kind of research, but I'd kind of been like a writer for a few years. Like I wrote for like my college newspaper. I did some like writing about like stocks for the site called like Seeking Alpha. Really like boomer type writing. But yeah, then so I connected with David, and yeah, he gave me the chance to write. So I luckily had like kind of that like writing kind of skill set. And then he liked what I wrote about like Polygon, like the day before the like gigantic crash in May of 2021, which was just terrible. And yeah, luckily him and Ryan liked it, and then kind of I started doing more writing for them, and then kind of joined in February of 2022 full time, and then kind of the rest is history from there, I guess. That's my kind of long-winded origin story.
Yeah. So you went, the Bitcoin obviously is everyone's first kind of taste of crypto. What kind of led you to other realms of crypto?
Yeah. So
You're super into the gaming ecosystem right now, right?
Yeah. No, gaming's kind of been like a kind of a later, kind of more recent thing. I guess like, I don't know. I had like a friend who worked in crypto, and he was kind of really into like DeFi. So he's like telling me about DeFi. And then I think like, I forget when this was after DeFi summer. I like sometime towards like the end of 2020, I like first used like Uniswap and like Ethereum. And I was like, holy crap, this is like insane. And I think like also once I got took out like a loan on Aave for the first time, I was like, this is incredible. Like I just got a loan at like midnight on like a Tuesday, and in like 1 second, just from like pressing a button.
And they don't even know my name, kind of thing.
Yeah. And then it just kind of went from there. I was really into like yield farming, and yeah, then like DeFi is kind of like my first love outside of like Bitcoin, and then kind of eventually I kind of pivoted into like gaming kind of this year, because I feel like I don't know, I kind of feel like it's more exciting than DeFi right now, just because it's like newer, it's like kind of more moldable, but I mean I still DeFi is still awesome, so I'm not a use case maxi.
Yeah, and any moments in there that were some hard lessons, some exit liquidity moments along that journey?
Yeah. Let's see. I got really wrecked on a bunch of Polygon shitcoins, and during Polygon summer, because when I first started like yield farming, I was like, oh, I'm gonna buy like the farm token, just because I use this like I should buy the farm token. That's like the number one rule of what you don't want to do. So a lot of that. I got kind of crushed on Jewel DeFi Kingdoms back.
Yeah, I got hit by that one.
Yeah, that was a tough one. Yeah, I mean a lot of like DeFi 2.0 stuff. Tokamak, got leveled by that. Tribe got hit by that. Some
good ones.
Yeah.
You definitely earned your stripes.
Yeah, there's a long list. Umami, that's kind of a bit of a more recent one. After DeFi Alpha kind of rugged, but it seems like they're doing well now. I don't know any, but it seems like they've kind of recovered, which is cool to see.
Yeah, and I guess kind of leaning into the more recent stuff going on. Anything you kind of like researched or piqued your interest the past few weeks or even this week?
Yeah. So I've really been kind of the past few weeks like really getting deep into like on-chain gaming. These are like games where it's like the the game logic is like itself are like smart contracts. So I've been kind of like trying to do as many of like the different. There's not like a ton of them out there, but I'm trying to play like any I can get my hands on. So there's one called Raskow, I think that's how you pronounce it. That kind of launched, I believe, last week. Just kind of like a racing game. There's also one called Sky Strife, which is kind of like a tower defense type game that I went to the play test for last week. So yeah, I'd say like on-chain gaming's kind of been where like my focus has been kind of for the past little bit.
What are you assessing when you look at these games? Like if you split it into like the like blockchain utility, I guess, versus like the game being fun, what's like the split between those two of what's more important?
I mean, I think the game being fun is like by far, I think like the most important thing. So I take like a very, it's maybe like a 90-10 kind of like split. Because really like, I don't know, I take like a very like hands-on approach when I like research. Like I want to kind of use like I actually want to be like using the apps I write about, like playing the games I write about. I don't just want to like be like someone from like the sidelines, because I feel like in this space it's like so many people are just kind of like talk about stuff and like it's kind of clear it's like, okay, you haven't actually like used the thing you're talking about. I feel like you have to like use the kind of just in general, like use the dApps, like play the games. So I take like an approach of like I feel like for on-chain games, like I'm the target customer. Like I'm kind of the like the crypto native kind of like gamer and degen that they're targeting. So I really just like, for me, it's like, okay, like I'll go to a game, I'll play it. I'll be like, is this fun? And if I don't really like it, like, is it at least like well made, and can like I at least envision like other people kind of liking it? I guess if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. Just out of curiosity, what were some of your favorite games like outside of the blockchain space, outside of Web3 gaming?
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know. This is just a bit of a kind of generic list, but I mean, I really like. I mean, COD. I grew up on that. MW2, MW3, Black Ops,
Yeah.
Black Ops 2, just incredible. I really like the Batman Arkham games. Great trilogy. I mean, GTA, all the GTAs, not just GTA 5, GTA 4, GTA 3, San Andreas, Vice City, all just amazing. What else? I mean, I like board games too, which is what I kind of feel like on-chain games kind of feel like, because a lot of them are very like turn-based. But yeah. So I guess, and Minecraft. Yeah, I had those are probably, if I had to just pick
Classics.
like yeah.
I play video games pretty decently well as well, and like, I mean, I feel like there's been a dry spell recently, and like there's nothing to play, and I still don't play any on-chain games. So I feel like, I mean, I saw have either of you seen the Parallel game launching? They did like some like OpenSea changed their PFP and everything to like match theirs. I haven't looked into it at all, but I was wondering if you have any thoughts on it.
Yeah. No, Parallel seems really cool. I haven't gotten a chance to play the beta. I really want to, but it seems really cool, and the team seems really like really smart. I talked with I forget his name. I'm terrible with names. I talked with someone on the team, and they seem really cool, and I'm excited for it. But it's hard for me to weigh in, and like, unless I like actually get the chance to like play it myself. I feel like.
Yeah, those card games are not really my cup of tea, but I'll probably try to give it a go eventually. So you're transitioning to like contributing to Wildfire DAO. I there really isn't much on them. It seems like a new initiative, and like a good amount of people seem to be joining. But from what I could grasp, there's a lot of focus around like tokenomics, design, and kind of governance models. Yeah, could you give us a little discussion on what it is, what you guys are planning to accomplish?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's not a ton of information at the moment, because we're kind of trying to keep it low key as we like ramp up. But yeah, so essentially, Wildfire, it's a a service DAO kind of born out of kind of Fire Eyes DAO, which is a service DAO. These kind of like four guys, James Waugh, I think he's Blockchain James on Twitter. Callum Gladstone, I forget his Twitter handle. Then Lucas Campbell, who's kind of my old editor at Bankless. And then Cooper Turley, who's Koopa Trooper on Twitter, who's like the music, like Web3 music guy. So kind of they are the four of them kind of are help like design tokens through FireEyes. So they've helped like design Optimism's token, Aave, Rocket Pool, ENS, Gitcoin.
Wow.
Yeah, they've done a lot. They're really cool guys. And yeah, so we're kind of like born out of them to like kind of help. Like we're kind of like Wildfire is kind of like their like kind of like governance arm. So we like participate in governance on their behalf, kind of using their like tokens. So we're like a governance delegate for like a bunch of the DAOs that they help design the tokens for. And yeah, so so Wildfire is participating in governance for Optimism, ENS, Gitcoin, Safe, and Rocket Pool. So you can delegate to us if you guys want. The addresses are in our. We got to make them more public, but as of right now, they're in our Discord, which I believe you can join from our Twitter. And yeah, so what Wildfire is going to do is like we're going to kind of like work with these DAOs to kind of help like kind of improve their governance, tokenomics, as well as kind of like proposals to like help like kind of like for like different like growth strategies. So like with like Rocket Pool, it's like maybe we're gonna like cook up a proposal to like help like how do you like take some market share from Lido, and like kind of like how can like Rocket Pool kind of like break like I don't know like gain more market share than they have like right now. Because I think like I like Lido, but it's like they have too much stake. Like it's not good for any one entity to have 31%, even though it's much better that it's in their hands than like Binance or a centralized exchange.
Yeah. And were you involved in any of those designs through?
No, I was not myself. But yeah, it's cool. It's cool like watching them. Like I've kind of been friends with them for like a few years, so it gone to see some stuff, but I wasn't in the I wasn't one of the designers of those tokens.
Any new proposals you guys plan on pushing out? Have you pushed anything out yet on any forums?
We haven't yet. But I think I know I definitely want to kind of like I was saying do something with Rocket Pool, kind of I don't know, so some sort of like an incentive program, because I think like RETH should be integrated more widely across DeFi than it is right now.
Yeah, I think Sasswell was like talking about that Daily Gway about like taking the rewards that ODAO members get and kind of using them as incentives. Do you think that's a decent idea, or do you have like a specific one? I mean, you know, if you can't share, that's fine as well.
Yeah, no, I do think that's a good idea. Because the ODAO members get paid a lot.
Yeah.
I think like using that money elsewhere, I'm definitely in favor for. And I also think I'm definitely in favor of like some like joint incentive programs, like with some of the other kind of staking providers. Like maybe you create like a joint balancer pool with RETH, FRX or Frax. Yeah, as well.
Anti-Lido incentives program.
Yeah,
Kind of like that, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually a pretty good idea.
Like, because it's like you don't want the liquidity to be like, I feel like fragmented across like a million different places. Because I feel like in the early days, like why Lido was like how it got to where they were is they just had this curve pool with just the billions in liquidity, and that just kind of like.
I mean, even now, I don't understand Rocket Pool nearly enough, but even now, I went to like grab some Steve, and I was debating getting some like RETH, and the difference was around like $75 in terms of like cost just to get like half an ETH, and yeah, it was. I think there's like a premium on RETH, right? Some kind of premium, like built in.
Yeah, I think it's like because it's not like it's not like a rebasing token like staked ETH, so it's like the rewards just kind of like accrue to the like the token price itself. But I think that as kind of like maybe like the queues, like the exit queue, kind of lessons, or there's some way to like arb that out that I'm not smart enough to do myself, but some gigabrain out there, I think we'll probably be able to do it.
Yeah. Any have you like spanned outside of because Bankless, I mean, myself included, are like sort of ETH maxis in a way. What kind of camps do you usually reside in?
Yeah, I'd say I'm like not an ETH maxi. I'd say like I'm an ETH like mostly, I guess. I think like ETH is like I believe in like the flippening, and I think like Ethereum is going to be the Ethereum and the layer 2s are going to be like the largest kind of smart contract ecosystem. But I really like Solana also. I mean, I guess I'm a Solana manlet. If you guys have seen that meme on Twitter. Yeah, I like Solana. I think like it's really now that kind of SBF and all like the kind of like the VC like shitty people are gone. I think like I think like it's kind of like community and like culture is like a lot better than like it used to be. And I think there are like a bunch of cool apps being built on it, and like right now it is like more scalable than any, or at least can process more transactions than like any other chain. So you got to give it like credit where it's due.
Are you a believer in the Solana DeFi summer? Have you seen that?
Yeah.
On Twitter.
Yeah, I mean, I could.
Have you messed around with anything on there? Have you used Solana recently?
I mean, not that recently. I was really big into like Solana DeFi back in like Alt L1 season. I got to remember, I just feel like sitting in class, like aping into like different like saver pools like the second they launched.
Yeah.
But I have to brush up on it. I have to brush up on it more. But I'm not I'm not really like a, I don't know. I'm more of like an L2 guy. Love Arbitrum, Optimism, Starknet. Those are kind of like my three favorites. I also like Cosmos. I think like the Cosmos ecosystem is like really cool. There's like always like interesting experiments going on there. I just feel like a lot of the times they like shoot themselves in the foot with like all their like drama and like founders like rugging and I don't know. I feel like they like can't get out of their own way a lot of the time. But so I'm not like a pure like total ETH maxi. Like I think there's like cool people in kind of every different community, like every different chain, and I also think it's just good for the industry to just have it like, so there's not just like one chain that like rules everything, or like one virtual machine that kind of just is the like everything that we use. Like I think like we want crypto to be like as decentralized as possible, and I think a way of doing that is where there's like multiple different like standards that you could like kind of like build applications with. Like you don't just have to use like the EVM or that.
Yeah.
I was
Ollie,
yeah, he's gone. I'm gonna continue anyways. I was I forgot what it was, but I was reading something earlier this week about decentralization in like DeFi specifically, and there were like, it was a very opinionated article. Like I didn't fully agree with all of it, but I thought the points were kind of interesting. I'm curious like to hear what you think of them. One of them, which is like not an entirely uncommon opinion, was that like decentralization doesn't really matter. Like yeah, it's a fun buzzword and all, but when it comes down to it, with what we have like right now, it's more of a hindrance than it is like an actual value add to a protocol. And a lot of the times it's like not actual decentralization. You know, like even like Uniswap, like Paradigm can swoop in and influence whatever proposal they want to. And the second one was about like DeFi, like development in general, which was like a little bit more interesting to me. It was that like a lot of people are trying to build like better tools on chain than are in TradFi, or that are, you know, available in like permissioned ways. And this person was saying that like that's the wrong approach, and instead we need to just be building like entirely new shit. So like you know, all these new perp dexes and better AMMs or whatever are like marginal improvements on stuff that already kind of exists. But then I don't know, like LSDs or like something like Alchemix that's like not done anywhere else is like a better approach when we have this like sort of sandbox to play with you know, a good amount of money and novel technology in it. I don't know. I kind of rambled there, but I found those 2 points really interesting. I don't know if you have any like hot takes on decentralization itself or like the future of DeFi.
Yeah. No, I think I don't know. I definitely fall into it's probably not that surprising as a former Bankless employee. I fall into the camp of like I do think decentralization like matters, but I think like it kind of just I don't think it's so like black and white to where it's like you have to be like 100%. Like if you have one upgradable contract, you're like, you know, you're getting like thrown in jail. Like I don't think it has to be like that extreme. But I think like if you kind of look at like crypto, I'd say like all the most successful like products that we have. So like probably like, I mean, if you consider like Bitcoin and Ethereum, like all the most successful projects, I should say. So like Bitcoin, Ethereum, like Uniswap, Aave, like Maker, they all kind of like prioritize like being like decentralized. I'd say like they didn't kind of cut corners in that regard. Like even Uniswap, like what you're saying with like Paradigm, like sure they could influence like the governance, but they can't like change the. I'll still be able to swap on like Uniswap. They can't change the contracts because it's like immutable. So I think it really matters for like financial applications. So like I want my bank to be, or like my like on-chain bank, like an Aave, to be like as decentralized as possible. And but like I don't know if it matters as much for like I don't know, like a certain type of like game, like maybe like a game doesn't have to be as decentralized. Like it doesn't. So yeah, so I also think it like depends on like what stage of a project you're in. Like if you're like starting out like a new project, I don't think it makes a lot of sense to be as decentralized as possible because like it's hard to get stuff done. If you're like I don't know if you guys have contributed to like a lot of DAOs, but like a lot of the times it's really hard to get anything done.
It's frustrating. Yeah.
And so I think for like if you're like an early project, like I think you don't have to be as kind of decentralized. And I think but I think if you're kind of like a really like I think like we don't want like power in crypto. I feel like to concentrate in the hands of just like a couple people. So if you're like a Aave, Uniswap, maybe like a big social media network, I really think like media in general, that's like one area where like decentralization I think really matters a lot. That I feel like isn't that talked about in crypto, but like you don't want like we don't want to, if you guys have seen Succession, we don't want like a bunch of we don't want like a Logan Roy of like the crypto media world or just media like in general, because we've seen like kind of the issues that like the mainstream media has, and I think like a lot of the reason why they've been like kind of so destructive is because like power is just concentrated in like a couple hands, like a couple people. So I guess that's kind of a long way of saying like I think it matters for certain projects at certain points in like their kind of like life cycle. I think like to go on your second point, I think like I kind of tend to agree. It's like don't like we have like the sandbox. We should just like experiment like that. That's kind of my approach. Like I hate like the obsession of like building for like normies and stuff. Because it's like if you really want to like be in like crypto is just like kind of like it's hard to be like a casual crypto person. I feel like it's like you're either kind of like about that like crypto life or you're like kind of not. And I think like I don't know, like I think I don't think the space should change just to like try to onboard like my grandma or like some like I don't think like we as a space should like kind of lose sight of like our like values. And like I don't think that like I feel like crypto is a thing, like it's not for the older generations, it's not for like it's for like the people like our age, who are like kind of younger. And I think like I think in the long run everyone's going to be like a crypto native. So like all of like the people like younger, that like the kids growing up now are like going to use MetaMask, and or maybe if there's someone disrupts MetaMask, maybe them. But I so long story short, I don't think like building for like I don't think crypto should like compromise what it is and like try to like bend over backwards to get mainstream adoption just for like the sake of it. Like I think like I don't know. We should keep crypto like weird and like everyone like the future is gonna like the future generations are gonna come anyways. So it's like we have a chance to actually like change how things are done. I feel like, and if you like build for like normies, it's like you're just kind of like trying to fit crypto into the old world instead of like create like a new kind of world, which is like why I got like interested in the space and why I think like a lot of people are.
Yeah, that's a good take. I agree. There is a weird obsession with like making everything work for the normies.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree. I missed the majority of that question, so I won't even. I think you guys made good enough points to each of yourselves.
Yeah.
Did you have another topic, Ali?
Yeah, I was curious to hear about like you mentioned Starknet earlier. You mentioned you like Starknet. I'm wondering
Really?
why? At least right now. I mean, I know nothing about like the development space there, but I can tell you that like for the past 2 months, the worst part of my week every week was logging on to do the Argent Explorer task. Like if I was lucky, the transaction went through in 2 hours. And like on a bad day, I would have to leave it open for like 2 days and just like every couple hours go and try and get a transaction through. I've met some of the projects building there, and I do think that there's some interesting stuff going on. But like I also feel like it's been a really long time, and the chain still kind of sucks. And it's also like it's pretty siloed. Like I've the only reason I was able to talk to some people in that ecosystem is because I went to Starkware CC or something like that like a year ago. But like outside of that, it seems like most of the projects who are building there are pretty like closed off to uh, other crypto ecosystems, I think. So not that I have a bad opinion of them. I just think that, well, maybe I do because the chain kind of sucks for me. But I also just think that like it's pretty hard to just recreate like uh, an ecosystem out of thin air.
Yeah. No, I think those are valid points. I mean, it's not not like the the smoothest user experience. Yeah, it's annoying to use right now. But the reason why I'm like bullish is because I think there's just like a lot of really cool kind of like projects building there. I know it's like very big in kind of the on-chain gaming space. That's like a big reason why I'm bullish on it because there's like a bunch of really cool projects being built on there, like Influence and Realms and Dope Wars, and those are like the first two are like kind of like strategy games, and then Dope Wars is like a GTA type game, and also this cool one I've been playing around recently with called Brick. You guys have heard of it? It's like
yeah, I like Brick.
Yeah. So I think there's like I don't know. I think there's like a lot of cool. Like I mostly just with like a chain. So like I look for like kind of like people now more so than just like the tech. Because I think like in the long run, kind of seems like all these chains will have like similar capabilities. Like technically, like they'll all be able to process a lot of transactions for a relatively like cheap cost. I think like the Starknet community is really cool, and I do think they are. I know they're releasing an upgrade. I think this week called like Quantum Leap, which is like a 10x improvement in like the throughput. So like hopefully that'll help because yeah, it is like really janky and like annoying to use right now, and you have to get like a new wallet, and you have to get it's so slow. But I think. Yeah, I think there's just like a lot of like really really like talented people there, and I think I'm not a dev, but it does seem like Cairo and kind of just like the way they do like their like proofs and such is like will make it so like in the long run it does have the potential to be like very be able to process like a ton of transactions and so yeah, so I guess just in a to put a bow on it, just probably just the community and just like there's interesting projects there, and it feels like very like organic It doesn't feel like kind of like no offense to like ZK Sync, but it just feels like that's just airdrop
Airdrop
farming.
farming. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. For what it's worth, I do like I think I've become like more pessimistic on what it takes to like create a sustaining on-chain ecosystem like over the past year really. And I think that like while ZK Sync activity is like totally not genuine, I think that like starting from where they are, like it puts them in a good spot to turn that into something genuine. Because like I don't know, like sometimes when I'm on DeFi Llama and I go to like sort by chain, like I'm there right now, and you scroll through it and you look at like how many of these chains had like some sort of narrative going for them during the bull market, and now you like see their name and you're like, holy shit, like that's still around, like Rootstack, Cello, like Moonbeam, Metis, like all this stuff that like just wasn't able to create any sort of like moat. And I don't think that L2s are going to necessarily be an exception to that rule, barring crazy incentives or some sort of killer app. And incentives can take you pretty far. It's just a matter of like capitalizing off of that.
Yeah, I think it mostly revolves around apps, in my opinion. I always try and think about what made Arbitrum so much better, in my opinion, to like the ecosystem, better than like Optimism is currently. I just never find myself using Optimism. Yeah, I feel like it's apps, but also like how much of a moat is that is what I've been thinking about recently.
Optimism's actually, I feel like Optimism's not caught up necessarily, but they're in a really good spot right now, I think, with
The OP
Bedrock
stack.
making everything so much cheaper. Like
Yeah.
Velodrome having pretty damn good yields and like a good spot to get decent liquidity for your token. Um, and like the killer app thing is like, in theory, it makes sense to me. But
Yeah.
like, how many killer apps have we really seen that have like brought
In the
big value to
entirety
an
of crypto.
ecosystem? And yeah, it's like GMX for Arbitrum. You could kind of say synthetics or like Quenta for Optimism, but you could also say that wouldn't have happened if they didn't give away like millions in Optimism incentives for traders. Um, I can't really name another
Yeah.
app that drove activity to a specific chain or ecosystem. So like I don't think it's I don't think it's like a super attainable goal for most.
Yeah. That's why I think the app moat is like slowly dying. Watching Optimism kind of just like catch up in a significant way, because I feel like the lead was like so much bigger when you compared the two, and uh, it's definitely shrinking. So it's
Yeah.
going to be interesting to see
I think
what that is, if there is anything on like these ZK ones.
mhm. Yeah,
That
I'm
Mav
excited for
one
that,
was
honestly.
that airdrop was pretty nice. I mean, like I don't know how much that did for
I
them.
still don't I still don't understand that one, honestly. Like why like the narrative was just so priced in or something. Have you heard of Maverick, Ben?
Um, I know of it. I know they were just like listed on like Binance's launchpad or something,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're basically like, are you familiar with Trader Joe's liquidity book decks?
Yeah, yeah.
So it's essentially like a range-based AMM like that, except the ranges that you set for your bins, you can choose for them to move with the price. So you can choose right, so it only follows the price up, left, so it only follows it down, or both, so it follows it in any direction. Which makes it really good for like specifically for trading newer LSDs because they'll deviate within like 5 to 10% against ETH usually. So it makes it a really good candidate for that. And then they also just announced like a curve based tokenomics model which is going to allow these same LSD projects to bribe liquidity on their platform. And I'm pretty sure there's already like a convex type project being built for Maverick. To me, that's like a super strong narrative, but like they either, I don't know how
How do you
they
feel
were able
about
to
that
launch at
model?
such a high valuation.
How do you feel about that tokenomics model?
Ooh, that's a tough question. I've gone back and forth on it a lot. Yeah, I think it. I don't know. I think there's like there's a part of it that I like, which is like letting kind of the market sort of allocate like incentives, not just like a couple of token holders and like a governance forum. I mean, I think like at the end of the day, it's like you need kind of like this is I think like a problem a lot of like the non-curve and like aura projects will like run into. It's like you need like the DAOs that want to bribe, and like I think emissions on like most platforms just are not kind of like valuable to like a DAO. Like Ribbon's a cool project, but like I don't know any DAOs that are going to want to like bribe like for an ETH Ribbon vault or something like that. So I think like I also think like it does like it is like pretty inflationary. Like I think part of the reason why like Curve like hasn't why like CRV itself never did like that well. It was like mostly like CVX, which wasn't as inflationary, that like did really well back in the last bull market, is because of like those emissions. So I guess like I think it's like good. It makes sense for like projects where it's like there will be like DAOs that will want to pay for like that like liquidity on their platform, but I don't think it makes sense for kind of like most projects where it's just where there isn't that like kind of like demand for those like incentives, I guess, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. And it's funny because like they're like the VE token model, or I guess like something that's modeled after Curve specifically, is like a lot more common than I previously thought. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know, like DopeX is planning on. I think they already have vote locking DopeX, but they're planning on adding bribes to their different like options vaults, which is like, who's gonna go and bribe like an ETH call vault or like an Arbitrum call vault if you want more liquidity for Arbitrum options. Like in theory, yeah, it would make sense, but I just don't think that side of the demand is there. And when you have a bribing platform like that, you're fragmenting your stakeholders that much more. You have bribers, recipients of bribers, liquidity providers, and then traders, and stakers too, well, I guess recipients of bribers. But for Maverick, I think it makes sense because, LSDs obviously have a lot of ground to gain. I think we just passed 20% ETH staked, and everybody wants some of Lido's share. So I think that could make a lot of sense had they not launched that 1 billion FTV. That's what confuses me.
Oh, were they
It's
the
like it was hard stuck there too.
It's at like 700 mil right now.
Were they the one? I saw one of you guys tweeted like some project launched with like 125 million FTV and like a 300K market cap.
No. That was a ZK Sync perp dex. Yeah, those guys
Who
are
was that?
probably scam artists. It's called Pinocchio or something like that. I like every now and then I'll go scoping through DeFi Llama and Dex Screener on ZK Sync because like there's a lot of idle liquidity there, and if you have even like one novel application, it's going to do reasonably well. Like that was how I caught Maverick in the first place pretty early, was because they launched on ZK Sync. But Pinocchio is this like it's like a hybrid GMX based / synthetic liquidity model for perps, and it's just inflated to hell. Like I think the token supply is 2x since I first tweeted about it like 3 days ago.
Jeez.
That's tough. That's tough.
Yeah.
Speaking of exit liquidity, I've gotten wrecked on tokens like those in my.
Oh yeah.
Have you been
Definitely.
like
I mean, you mentioned
targeting
you were
any
early on.
airdrop stuff?
Have I been targeting any airdrops?
Like, do you do the whole Argent thing with Starknet every week, like Ollie, or
Yeah,
any other?
Thank God.
I haven't
Oh,
done.
it is.
I haven't done like that much airdrop farming. I mostly just try to get like the big ones because I'm like lazy. I don't want to pay like a ton, like all this different like gas and bridge everywhere to do everything. I feel like I've mellowed out over the years in terms of my degeneracy. But yeah, I mostly, so I guess like I want to get like the Tyco one. I mean, layer 0 would be, I know that's the most generic airdrop there is. Layer 0. Yeah, I'm not like a huge airdrop farmer. I know Jack, who's another bankless analyst, or I guess is a current bankless analyst. He's like a big airdrop guy. But yeah, myself, I'm more of a coin trader, whether they be fungible, non-fungible.
Do you trade derivatives at all?
Not really. I'm mostly a spot guy. Sometimes I'll do like, I don't know, like I in like the bull market, I do like I'd use like kind of purpose exits to do like the basis trade where like to like capture like the funding rate. Because like back in like one of like the interesting things is like there's all these like different like perp dexes out there, and they all like different like funding rates, and like there's like ETH could be like positive on one dex, negative on the other. So there's sometimes like cool like different like arb opportunities where you could be like long it on one long ETH on one dex, get funding, short it on another one, get funding also. And then until you're like hedged out, but you're like also like earning like the funding rates. But I feel like crypto is like so volatile, and I'm like kind of not great at like market timing. So I'm like, I'm gonna stay off the leverage because I don't know. It just feels like a recipe for disaster if you're not like, if you don't really know what you're doing. And I'll admit, in terms of like kind of like a shorter time horizon, like trading is not my strong suit. Yeah, the
Funding rate farming, I think.
No, I was just gonna say, Canto's an example of that in terms of me being exit liquidity. I completely round trip Canto. I don't know why I just thought of that, but yeah, it's like Canto's an example why it's like hard to like crypto could be like so like the easiest and hardest market because it went up like 10x in like a month, and then it just has nuked since then. It was like 150 million market cap. I was like, oh, it's going to $1 billion, and then it's like, why didn't I just? It went up 10x in a month. Like, why didn't I just sell it? It's just so stupid. And then I just round trip the entire thing. It's just awful. Wow.
Yeah, this is a brutal chart. I thankfully stayed away from Canto. Mostly, I bought the one like Milady derivative on there, and that 15x actually. So I guess I mean it was like a $50 NFT, but still it was a good play, I guess. I was also just gonna say that funding rate farming is like, I think, more stressful for good reward than people realize, because for every hour that you have that position open, the funding rate gets updated, and it's like if it flips and you don't close it in time, you can easily round trip your gains. So it's like it's a position you're checking hourly, basically, as long as you have it open, which is a little too much for me personally. So yeah. I don't know. I would say it's good if you can dedicate the time, but I do think it's like a little bit overrated too.
Yeah, no, that's definitely fair. I feel like it's more of a bull market activity when you're like just in front of the chart, just just glued.
Makes a lot more sense then. Yeah.
Do you have a small brain? Well, the Smallverse NFT, and
I was gonna say.
and the ecosystem there is very centered around like the whole treasure DAO world. Have you found anything there like other than that NFT project worth kind of participating in? Kind of
Yeah,
feel like everyone's waiting for a decent game to come out of that ecosystem, and I honestly sort of believe that they're gonna. I in the GameFi world, I like the like GambleFi stuff, like with the Senko guy. If you've seen that, like it's pretty cool. Like they're doing the poker. I think he's like just launched like Uno on there too, and yeah. Is there anything that Treasure is kind of doing that you find interesting at all?
yeah. No, I think I mean I love just from a broader sense, like I think their vision of like creating like an interoperable kind of ecosystem of games, I think is like really cool. I feel like it's kind of it's sort of similar to like the on-chain gaming like autonomous world vision, but I'd say like not as like, but just kind of like an on-chain off-chain like hybrid type version of that. I mean, in terms of the individual projects, I really like the Beacon. That's a fun game. It's like a little like dungeon crawler where um, you go like they have like a new dungeon every Monday through Friday. You can go through and like battle through it, and then like at the end, you get like some like loot. Although I think they might have gotten rid of the loot. I haven't played it like that recently. The Beacon's fun. I know Zverse. That's another fun one. I should disclose I hold some assets from both of those. I should say that. I do hold some magic, so I am biased. And Zverse is like kind of like a monster tamer kind of RPG where it's like you can like battle different like you have these like little like creatures and you can like battle them against one another, and they're going to implement I guess the buzzword for this is called risk to earn, which is like I don't know, it's not like the best buzzword, but essentially it's like you can put like you'll be able to like wager like tokens like within the game. So I think it's like kind of similar to like DMT and
Yeah.
DMT. Sorry, I keep interjecting with random exit liquidity anecdotes, but DMT is another one where I think I like bought it at like 10 and then it went to like 20 and I didn't sell it. And then it like crashed down to like 4 and I like sold it at like 7 and now it's like way higher. So that's
Yeah. That
that's,
happens. I do like the risk to earn thing though. I think it's like a pretty good model. I think that the thesis is like it's basically gambling, but just like covered in a game. Just like don't worry about it. It's just a game kind of thing.
yeah.
Which I think has some legs in this ecosystem. So yeah, that's a cool one.
Yeah, I feel like it's a way to like kind of like introduce like some like I feel like it's an example like crypto being used to like enhance like a game, but like to where it's not like just like a plater, like to where it's not like okay the whole game is just like yield farming.
Ponzonomics, yeah.
I think it's kind of like a fantasy football where it's like
Yeah.
just like add a little like money into it and I agree. I think it's a cool mechanism. I don't know if risk to earn is like, I mean, it's better than calling it gambling, but
Yeah.
I know like I've like tweeted out like stuff about risk to earn and people always get like triggered. They're like, this is just gambling. Like, but,
yeah. All right. I think we're coming up on time here. Anything we missed you want to kind of talk about?
Will that directed to me or?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You want to chill or any
Yeah.
any cool topics, whatever?
Yeah, I mean, on-chain games are cool. I'm actually working on a project related to kind of on-chain games. Not a game itself, but yeah, I guess if I'm given permission to shill, look out for some announcements about that. Should be launching within a month. I think it'll be pretty cool. But yeah, I'd say yeah, just try out some on-chain games. They're a lot of fun. It's yeah, that kind of all my shilling. Thanks for having me on. Yeah, I hope I was okay in first live stream ever. Yeah.
Thanks
Yeah,
for
no,
coming
this
on,
was
man.
fun. This was very fun.
Honored to be your first.
Yeah, I need to check out some of these games because like,
Yeah, I haven't been looking at gaming nearly as much as I should have been.
yeah.
All the names you mentioned, I haven't heard of any of them, so I'm definitely way behind there.
We'll wrap up there. That's episode 29. Dang, 29 episodes. All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.